All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Alec from Valist, and we build Web3 native software distribution. We're super stoked to be here at BlockJam. We can't be more excited about the up-and-coming Web3 game developer scene. We've built some awesome tools to help make your lives easier, and we can't wait to get into it. So I'm going to jump in here and first talk a little bit about Web3 native software distribution, what you could do with Valist, and all the different awesome things, as well as we're going to take a look at a Unity game or project and token gate it with our software license NFTs. So make it really easy to basically publish and monetize a Unity game. Let's get into it. Sweet. So what is Web3 native software distribution? Well, basically it's a few different elements, pretty much a combination of regular software distribution plus new Web3 things that we couldn't do before. So publishing, fetching, your pretty standard features there. Secure updates, same there. But then we can get into some really interesting stuff like DAO coordination of software and software licenses in the context of NFTs. So why do we need Web3 native software distribution? Well, we're still distributing all of the Web3 software over Web2 platforms. So even our beloved Ethereum client Geth is still distributed over Microsoft Azure Blob Store, and some common projects that we all know and love. Pretty much every Web3 software is still, unfortunately, tied back to some Web2 distribution platform, and that includes games with Steam as well. So if you think about GitHub versus Steam, those types of platforms, we can actually create a Web3 alternative to those and basically decentralize the whole system. And effectively what we're doing is we're putting, as an industry right now, at least, we're putting massive amounts of effort into decentralization, but then we're re-centralizing everything at this distribution level by publishing all this Web3 tech over Web2. So Valist is trying to fix that. And obviously there's some of the common issues with centralized distribution mechanisms are risk of compromise, censorship risk, and availability risk. So, and then there's also the concept of app store fees can get pretty exploitative as well. Most platforms take about 30%, whereas in Web3, you could pretty much reduce that to sub 5% from some of these platforms as well. So really interesting and amazing stuff there. So what can we do now that we're in Web3? Well, at first, it kind of looks familiar by porting over common features from GitHub and Steam and Versal and some of our favorite tools that we already know and love. The ability to version control, publishing, fetching, and updating your artifacts, as well as being able to have team level and then project level access control. So the ability to create a team level username and namespace that everyone can coordinate around, like Ethereum, for example, and then different projects underneath that can be managed by different teams and different levels of permissions there. So once we're ported over, basically, we're no longer relying on a single entity for distribution. So basically no longer relying on Microsoft or even Valist, really, because it's a decentralized system. Basically, the whole system can run together collaboratively. And you can monetize software directly via non-fungible tokens. So instead of basically asking permission from these centralized platforms, having to set up a bank account, going through all these other things, and then hopefully getting your app published and monetized, anyone around the world can set up a wallet, start publishing their software with that wallet, and start collecting fees right away without having to ask anyone for permission. So pretty amazing stuff there, and basically getting our payment railings onto crypto, and then you can build everything else on top. So another amazing thing is that DAOs can coordinate releases. So if you imagine a DAO coordinating a new version of Geth or these new Ethereum nodes or any software like Nervos, for example, new updates for this could eventually be coordinated by community members, or even different node implementations can be governed by different teams in certain ways. So lots of amazing potential there and enabling community powered software distribution in that sense. And then, of course, It's really awesome to be able to create auto update mechanisms powered by smart contracts in IPFS. So it actually gives us a lot of amazing security potential out of the box there. So no need to create your own systems there. We can just leverage the existing security of Web3. And then, of course, with the software license NFTs, what we could do is actually collect protocol fees that can go back to funding public goods as well, as really amazing things there. So anyway, let's get into how it works. Basically, what happens is the developer publishes a release to IPFS as the start. All the data goes there, all the software goes there. The Valist client basically describes what type of software it is, and then that gets archived onto Filecoin for long-term storage, and then it gets checkpointed onto a blockchain. So Valist is multi-chain enabled, primarily Polygon, but it supports any EVM-based chain. And then the client is then aware of the access controls lists and the releases from the system. So basically, everything gets tied up into a nice interface, and Valist is a set of tools that glue all these protocols together to make Web3 devs' lives easier. So really, all this stuff gets abstracted away into some really nice and clean interfaces that we'll go over right now. So how do I use it? Basically, we have several ways of interfacing with the Valist tool system. TypeScript and Go SDKs, if you want to get really into it. The web frontend is our easiest way. The CLI and CI/CD mechanisms are really easy. And then we have a GitHub action. If you're already doing GitHub releases, this is the easiest way to add Valist publishing to your pipeline. It's basically no config, and we'll go into that in a second. So the web interface is the simplest and most common way of publishing. It looks like any version controlled file uploader that similar to GitHub releases or a Steam release. You just give it a version, you upload files, you set a release image and set some metadata, and it handles the publish. The CLI is also another really simple way to publish software. And basically, you just npm install it. You can import a key into the secure key store, and it'll actually use your device's local hardware security cross-platform. So it'll work on Mac, Linux, and Windows. So it uses your keychain on Mac, GNOME keyring on Linux, and Microsoft or Windows Secret Store. Or I'm not too familiar with the Windows secret service, but yeah, that's how it stores it. And then you can go ahead and give it a publish that way by specifying the account, the project, and then the version, as well as the files you want to upload. So super simple way to do it. And then you could also configure a YAML file to get more complex deployments and specify multi-platform builds. If you're, for example, publishing onto Windows and Linux and Mac OS, in the CLI, you can actually specify which binaries and which builds go to which platform. And then the Valist interface and the web app will understand which platform you're on and be able to run it accordingly. The GitHub action, like I mentioned, is a very simple way as well to get your existing pipeline released. This example here is taking the IPFS GitHub releases and then publishing them straight into a Valist repository. And essentially what you could do is create a key that only this GitHub action has access to, and that key only has access to one single project. And then you can rotate the key at the admin level. And so it's got some nice balanced security there as well. And then you can always interface with the SDK, and basically the Valist SDK is wrapping these protocols together. You just need to give it a Web3 wallet and an IPFS node. And actually it can default to the Valist hosted infrastructure as well. So how do we get into it? Where do we find it? Well, best place to find it is just go to the website, hang out at the docs, and come hang out in our Discord. We're very excited to help anyone, regardless of what type of software you're publishing. We likely have a solution for you. So definitely come and hang out there. and check out our GitHub for the different repos as well. There's lots of different things to explore there. Pretty amazing stuff. But cool. Now let's get into the actual publishing of a Unity project. So essentially what we have here is a Unity project that is token gated with the software license NFT. So now let me actually explain what that means. Essentially, what this project is a project that we are selling for 0.01 Matic. So FYI, you don't have to sell anything on the platform. It doesn't require pricing, but as an optional thing, if, for instance, you have in-game assets or you're selling your game, this is a great example here. So for this, we're going to dive into how to set this up. Essentially, what we need to do is create an account and a project. That's pretty simple. All you have to do is follow the instructions, fill out a couple forms. It's very simple. I already have this set up here for sake of time. I have a project here called Unity plus software license NFT. So essentially what this is doing is leveraging all the features of the Valist platform, from the publishing all the way to the token gating at the end. So essentially what I've done here is I've created a project and I've set it up with a name here, Unity plus software license NFT. I called it a web game and I gave it some tags. This is all some nice metadata that you could use to show up in the search. You could set a description. This is Markdown. You can add custom project members, but I'm defaulting to the admin account here. And then you can add screenshots by dragging and dropping into here. And we highly recommend this. If you add screenshots, you will actually, your project will qualify for the discovery page. And that can get some awesome exposure for your application as well. So definitely add screenshots. It makes the project page look really good. But essentially what we're doing here is all we did was go and set a price in Matic to 0.01 for this project. And essentially what happened in the background, once you hit save, the Valist system will actually create the software license NFT around your project. So essentially it's mapped to the same security as your project. Only the people that have access to this project can configure, only the admins can configure this pricing mechanism here. So all you have to do is hit the price, and then it will actually connect your project ID to a token ID that is a software license. And then you can actually token gate it inside of your application and do the check for the balance to make sure that someone actually did the purchase. So from the end user's perspective, they come to your application, they see your game, and then they see, oh, I can purchase this license for 0.01 Matic because you had set it in the settings. You click this, and then this facilitates the actual purchase of the software license NFT. And then once I actually run this purchase, I will have a balance of 1 for the software license NFT for this project. I'm going to cancel that right now because I want to go over the way this works a little bit. But essentially, what happens is we're actually connecting this login button here to a license check. So this is actually the ChainSafe template. So definitely amazing resources there. If you go to the ChainSafe Gaming SDK, then what you could do is follow these docs, follow the install instructions for your Unity project. They're an amazing team as well. They're always super active in their Discord, and we are very much excited to help with setting this up as well. So if you need help, definitely feel free to reach out to us or the ChainSafe team with setting this up in the Unity project. But essentially, it's a simple initial setup, and then we change the build settings to WebGL. We switch the platform over to WebGL. We click the player settings here, and then we use the chain-safe WebGL template. And then since most IPFS gateways have problems with compression, we usually recommend disabling the compression there. And then that's pretty much the setup for the build settings. So again, it's just WebGL, disable compression, and then use the chain-safe WebGL template. And then when you're make sure to in the instructions for the chain-safe as well, make sure to change the network to the proper network inside of this network.js file inside of the WebGL template. But again, that's all laid out really nicely here, and we can help with that setup. And there's another talk at this event that is going over the chain-safe SDK. So that's amazing stuff. So all same stack, nothing crazy here. And then all we have is a custom script for checking the license here. So this is available on the Valist docs as well. We actually have a pre-set up script that you can use as a base for this. So essentially, what this does is check the license for check the license balance based off of your project ID from the user. It will just check MetaMask and ask for a signature. And once you get the signature, it'll check the balance for that license. And then your game will actually be aware if they purchased it or not. So this is a pretty simple script. Essentially what it does is it just checks whether or not they've been authenticated before. And then if it doesn't, it just asks for a signature. And essentially all you have to do to get this to work is drag this script into the scene as well, add it to a component, and configure the values as such. So I just set Polygon testnet. The contractor is already there for the software license NFT contract. And then all we have to do is make sure this token ID matches the project ID in our Valist project. So if I go to the settings here, I set the price, I copy this project ID, and then I paste it into here and make sure that matches. And then I go ahead and hook up this button, this check button, to the onLogin function. So this onClick event triggers this NFT license onLogin function from this scene object from this login manager. So if you're familiar with Unity, essentially we just instantiate the script here with the NFT license and the web login. Again, this is all just based off of the chain-safe gaming template. We just tweak this second button here to call it check button and hook it up to the license check there. And then again, going over the license check here, just to double check that we have everything configured properly. And don't mind the loading here. Sorry about that. Basically, we just made sure that this token ID is all the same, and then it's just going to do the check there. So what we can actually do now is test it out. I'm not going to do the build here because it takes quite a bit of time sometimes for these Unity builds. So I will not force you through that for sure. But essentially what I did to get this published was I set a version. I built it in Unity by going to the build setup here. I click build. It exports it into this build folder. And then all I did was I uploaded that build folder into here, gave it a version, and then hit publish. And that was it. Uploaded the files really quickly and then triggered the transaction to checkpoint it on the blockchain. And then now we could go ahead and do the purchase. So now that it's all configured, basically the project ID matches. I've hooked up the license check to the button, and then I've published it to this project. So now if I'm an end user, I could come in, I can go ahead and click purchase license. I hit confirm. This will actually mint a license token to my wallet. And then once that is fully mined, I will have a balance of 1 for this project's license. And then there we go. Just got a confirmation there. And then go ahead and refresh this page, and then we should see the launch button. And so there we go. The web UI detected that my wallet that's logged in here now has a balance of this software license NFT. And then it shows the launch button. And then the extra security comes from inside of your game here now that we're doing this license check. So I go ahead and hit login. It pops up MetaMask. I hit connect. And then I have in the console, I have it logging whether or not I have the balance. So I hit check license here. And what it will do is it will check whether or not I have the license by asking for a signature. And then this is a timestamp here. So it basically will cache it for 12 hours. I actually have it looping over and over again for the sake of time. But basically, there we go. Now we see we have a balance of 1, and then we have success. And then in the rest of your game, now, once you have this balance checked, all you have to do from there is enter the next phase of your game. So you could treat this basically as your launch screen and your login screen there. And then the license check will handle all of that. And then you can even also decide whether or not you want to allow some gameplay for free before unlocking the rest. You could configure it however you like. So again, it's a pretty open and flexible system. So the software license NFTs can be used in a variety of different ways. Unity is not the only way to token gate as well. You can basically token gate any type of application, any type of API, and we have SDKs to be able to do that. We picked the Unity example here because it's pretty relevant for a gaming hackathon, and we think a lot of you will find this very exciting. But there's all kinds of different ways to token gate. The software license NFT can be used in all kinds of those ways as well. And you don't need to use them at all. If you want to publish to the platform and set up a nice download page for your game or application, Valist is a great way to do that. And you're building reputation on your Web3 identity now. So let's all migrate away from these Web2 platforms and move things on chain and basically cut out all the intermediaries that have been extracting a lot of the value from here. So yeah, really looking forward to seeing all these amazing projects coming out of this hackathon. Again, come join our Discord, valist.io/Discord. We're here to help. We're super excited and looking forward to it. So thanks, everyone. Best of luck. We'll talk soon. Cheers.